As contractors, I think we have some of the toughest jobs. I mean, they sometimes just get not really even all that appreciated. I mean, what we have going on sometimes, and I'm as somebody that spent a lot of time as a contractor, sometimes people just don't really understand what it takes. And I think I want to just set the stage here where sometimes this just sort of results in chaos for people. You get this phone call. I remember this one time somebody had called up and said, we have this leak in our kitchen ceiling. And so I was down the street at a different project, came over there, and this was a customer, just was a friend of the customer I was working for. So we show up, look at the ceiling, it's dripping from a can light. And suddenly we realized, like, this is not a small leak.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
There's a big deal going on here, and they've got buckets placed around. And next thing you know, we discover that 30 years ago, when somebody built this house, they shot a nail through one of the copper pipes. The nail rusted loose 30 years later, and now they had a leak that was like the ceiling was ready to collapse in the kitchen. So you have this response. I'm calling, my family, let them know I'm not coming home at dinner time because now I'm dealing with somebody's problem.
Yeah.
That's one situation that happened that kind of like, now we're dealing with, right? Then you kind of magnify that sometimes with other things going on in life where there could be family tension going on. There could be medical needs going on. There could be, conflict. I mean, sometimes it can get to the point of even just turmoil, like just, people are going through divorces, people are going through like falling out with their kids. I mean, like, or whatever it is, not getting along with their parents, of like lots of things could be going on in life where just there's personal turmoil going on. Yeah. Then you have all the stuff that goes on with your equipment, right? I mean, just like something.
Like anytime you try to do something, it breaks.
Yeah, right. Where is that? Could be happening, or it could be like, I mean, you guys can identify with like things get stolen or broken by your crew. I mean, we've had a couple of thefts. We had one job where it was like on one of those streets where 3 a.m. was like the busiest time of the street. Like drug activity and stuff like that. And I mean, we live in a fairly clean town, but this one part of the town is just like,
not so clean.
Not so clean. And that job, we got to the point of like cleaning off the tools out of that job every single day because it would just get broken into every single day. So stuff like that can be going on. We have the external like taxes, licenses, permits, fees. I mean, there's a lot of things going on as a part of being a small business owner, a contractor. You have financial needs, feast or famine. You have the goals you have, the things you want to achieve, and where you're actually at. And sometimes those are not at the same spot. Yeah, very often. Sometimes you can actually have needs going on of like, I don't know where the money's coming from to pay my team on Friday. Right. So all of that sort of adds up to this feeling of, I mean, there's the emotional reaction to the situations around you, and it can be just overwhelming. Right. Where you feel like you're dividing by zero because you have so many things going on. You're diluted so many different directions. You just don't know what to do next. Yeah. Everything feels like the most urgent thing going on. You feel like 50 things need to happen this minute. Yeah,
you feel like you can't get anything done meaningful, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you can get so diluted where you're just, oh, there's a problem. There's an issue. I got to get that done too. And really all you really spend your time doing is looking at all the issues sometimes. So just like, well, yep, that needs to happen sometime. I don't know how I'm going to do that. Yeah. That needs to get done. Somebody calls you up. And what happens sometimes is just the loudest thing in your life gets the thing you spend your attention on. Yeah.
The fire that has to be
put
out.
The ceiling that needs to be fixed. It becomes a thing because now that feels like the most urgent thing because somebody said it was. But of all the people in the world, there are thousands of people that have ceilings falling down in their kitchens at any given moment, figuratively and or actually happening. So sometimes it feels like there's no other way but to deal with that loudest customer at the moment because they're the one that say you need to be there now. And so that there's where you're at. Sometimes it's even new customers, like dealing with people that are, you feel like you need to sell or you need to keep a reputation with. I mean, sometimes it's like that one person that makes more noise than all your other customers put together. Yeah. I had somebody.
I call those the terrorists. Those customers you take. They steal your time. They take from you.
Yeah, they take. Text messages on a Saturday afternoon, Sunday evening, like you're getting these communications where you feel like, oh yeah, they're stealing from you, even your peace. Yeah. Yeah. I think what happens sometimes too is this takes an emotional toll on us to the point where you feel, because you feel off, you feel overwhelmed. I guess using the first case example of that, there's times where you just feel moody. You just feel like, man, it's easier to see in others than it is to ourselves.
Sure.
And be like, man, what happened to that guy? Like, why is he so, nasty?
What's going on today?
Yeah, exactly. Like he's just a nasty, kind of self-absorbed person, and we can be that person in response to the stress going on in our life. Angry, lashing out. I mean, the various negative responses to what's going on in life.
For sure.
Bottom line is people are not seeing the best version of you.
Yeah. In
a situation where you're overwhelmed, you don't know how you're going to solve all of it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think it's for your team specifically, or your family who you're coming home to. Typically, they're the ones that are getting the result of
the
like
people
the
you
chaos,
love the most.
right? Yeah. Or spend the most time with, and you might love your employees the most. But you probably hopefully you love your family a little bit more. But
yeah.
But it's what you're creating and what you're building too, of course. So you care deeply about it. And I think it's like can be super toxic to your family or to your employees if it's like they don't know what version's showing up today. Like they feel like they have to tiptoe around. Well, what's he going to come in like today? What's she going to come in like today? What's she going to say? So I think that's not always a healthy way to build a business either.
Yeah. Sometimes those negative responses also, there's a piece of us that understands how negative that is and how, lashing out at somebody, and then you think later, it was probably too hard on them, but then you have to justify it, or you breed more of the same. People give it back to you. Road rage starts that way.
Right.
I saw this YouTube video the other day of a guy who had a dash cam running naturally, and he honks at a guy in front of him. The guy gets out of his car, takes all the way back, and ends up punching the guy in the face because he honks his horn at him. Just how dare you? And then this, then the doors get unlocked, and then it can be all brawling on the street. This guy, he had a dash cam running, so he just took that to the police station, and this guy gets arrested. But nonetheless, it can feel that way though. Yes. It just snowballs out of control.
Right.
Next thing you know, you have this, a war going on.
Right. Yeah.
For no apparent reason.
Yep.
Just because somebody got overwhelmed with something. Next thing you know, shots are fired.
Yeah. Didn't handle something well.
Didn't handle the stress of the moment, and then it just feels like, and then you just don't care anymore. Like, people, the middle finger gets thrown, basically. Just like, you too, is kind of the response. Sure. You know where you need to, where you belong, right? Yeah. You guys have seen the scene, right? If nothing else, you've seen it in somebody else. We don't do these things, but but no, we do. We actually get in the moment these kind of negative, kind of primal responses to pressure.
Yeah.
There's a better way.
Yeah.
I think as potential solutions, something that I've experienced and I've seen others do is this. Well, we're going to do things.
Yeah, we're going to get something done. Stuff done.
Stuff will get done. And you're basically doing the things that you find most sort of fulfilling in the moment, the most gratifying.
Things you enjoy.
Yes, right. I'm going to go fix the truck.
Yeah.
I'm going to go clean the shop.
Yeah.
Good things potentially,
and that feel good because you can see them visually. Like
there
the two things that you're pointing out are like things that you're like, I can see where it started and I can see where it ended. And it's a better place. So you feel like you did something productive. So
like, I have a past due invoice. My taxes haven't been filed, but my shop's dirty, so I'm going to clean the shop first, even though I'm accruing interest and penalties on a tax return, because that's just not the thing that I want to do.
Right.
And it just doesn't feel very gratifying to work on. And so now we're in a position of working on things that are good, but not important. The timing is wrong. The other response is inaction. And that's just being like, it's the deer in the headlights kind of a feeling of like, there's a car, I'm going to get hit. Kind of, it just, we just can't move because it's just, you're overwhelmed to the point of inaction.
Yeah. Well, and then it's just finding something that makes you feel better in the moment. Right, or medicating, right? Because you're like, oh, I need some freedom from this chaos that's like swirling around me and in my mind and those kinds of things. And then so you just you distract yourself on your phone, or you medicate with something else.
Right.
Like
I earned a six-pack essentially is how it comes down to.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like there's lots of excuses. For just
that you can justify really easily, I think too. That's the thing about medicating some things. You're like, oh man, life's busy, life's crazy, life's in chaos. Life, it's hard. Running a business is hard. But those kinds of things.
And you guys know what you go for. Like this could be sitting on the side of the road for an hour, scrolling on your phone. God knows what's on. That could be various things from feeling like this is nothing wrong with just reading email all day,
right?
Or looking at porn. It's just there's various responses of things that are the spectrum,
unhealthy,
right? Exactly. Drugs, all these things kind of go into there.
Totally.
I think the ignore comes into things that don't really have a great solution. Like, and they just feel like, well,
or like an immediate solution. Is that what you mean? Like a quick.
Let's say in a past due bill type of situation, like, well, I don't have the money to pay the bill,
right?
And so therefore, we don't have a good solution, right? There's not a clean solution. Like, if it was as clean as just pay the bill,
right?
Then probably
you could get it done
would be gone,
checked
right?
off your list.
Yeah, but it's like that's late, so somebody's looking for a payment, or the taxes need filing,
right?
Those types of things. Customer complaint. There's just I don't even know how to solve. I don't know how to make that customer happy, right?
Yep.
And so in those scenarios where we don't have a great solution, the temptation is to just ignore the problem.
Completely.
But there's this. The longer we ignore something, there's just the worse it gets.
Yeah.
They don't go away.
Right.
And then it just propagates more of the same.
Totally.
Next thing you know, it's like, now you got more pressure because now you got penalties. You have interest. You have people looking for you. You know,
it escalates at a really rapid rate.
It really does. Yeah. And the next thing you know, it's instead of, some of the hardest things in life, like a past due bill, sometimes are much easier to. Like they're really not that bad in the moment of just like, okay, the facts are I don't have the money. The facts are I owe something. So let's reconcile the two and talk to the person we owe the money to and say, okay, here's what I'm working on. But we'll get into more solutions. But the temptation is to ignore. And then it's just like, well, my reputation's already, it's like a credit score. You're late 1 month, credit score goes down 20 points, and then you're late on 5 things, and it's just like, I don't even care about my credit score anymore.
It doesn't even matter anymore.
It doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. Like nobody's gonna ever loan me money again anyway, so I can be late on everything.
Yeah, good point.
And so life can be that way, where it's just, you just don't feel like there's any need to respond to anything. Yeah. You're like a turtle at that point, going to your shell, and it's overwhelming. You feel nasty. All the stuff just piles up. You don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. I feel like too, there's like, this is probably like relatable to everyone. Like a certain level of chaos is probably happening all the time because there's things that happen in life that are just outside of your control completely. Like most things are outside of your control. Enough. And so I think that is kind of like the lack of control can kind of feed into that like chaos mindset. I think with chaos too, it's like there are seasons where it ebbs and flows, like where more things are just disrupted and crazy. Like back to the like family turmoil versus tension. It's like, my husband and I can be like super jiving one week. And then another week we're like, man, why aren't we like clicking on this? Like, why are we disagreeing about something? Why are we, we have a really healthy marriage, it's a beautiful marriage. But there's still moments where it's like that peace side of things almost gets a little bit rattled, So I think you related this to everyone. I think it is relatable to everyone because it's going to come and go. And if you haven't hit this yet, that's awesome, but it's coming.
Right.
You
will have some kind of turmoil.
Yeah, and chaos, And so, but what should we do about it? Like how do we actually proceed in a season of chaos?
Yeah. I think no matter what the situation is and no matter how bad it is, if it's really bad and you just feel like your failure and you're not going anywhere, or you can just feel like you just feel minor overwhelm of just you feel worn out, you feel burnt out, and so I appreciate that you bring up the fact that there's varying degrees of this because it feels like it's somewhat manageable and you're doing okay. Yeah. And you're like, yeah, I can handle it. Bring it on. you're tough.
Yeah.
For
sure.
I'm a big boy. I can go get it. Like that kind of thing. I think that sometimes that's where we start with it.
Totally.
And then it like, well, maybe I'm struggling more than I think I am. And so step one in all of this is to do what I like to call a download. Okay. So we basically need to take all of the things swirling around us and get them into one place because they just, they keep you up awake at night otherwise. Like you have, okay, I've got this person I need to call tomorrow. I got to order this. I've got to make sure that this happens. I need to resolve that problem that, I keep coming back to the tax example because I think a lot of people are going to relate to that, whether or not you're current with your taxes or behind. Yep. You're going to relate to saying that's chasing
Still got to do it.
I've got a license. I've got a permit to get. I've got all these things that potentially could get forgotten or deprioritized just because it's not something you want to do. Yep. So download means get everything into one place. Now, some of you guys like digital tools more than pen and paper, but either one works. Yeah. So choose your preferred method.
Writing it out, yeah.
I love the app TickTick.
Yeah, me too.
It's one I've recommended over the years, and it's just a clean, well-built app.
To-do app,
for to-dos. Get stuff done app. was that GTD? I think it is. Get things done is the
GSD. I think is what most people say.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a GTD method. It's a get things done method where it kind of follows that kind of paradigm. But yes, the GSD, fill in the S with your preferred get stuff or what other things. Yeah. But anyway, so that app allows you to essentially don't get sort of over optimizing, but just as things come up, this might take you multiple days depending on how far you're behind, but just write everything down that needs to be done.
Right.
So it's like, I got to call this person back. I need to finish this thing. Just get everything all in one place. Spend the time to do it, and then train yourself to just in the moment write down what's going on. Yeah. My problem that I had was yellow pads of paper. I would write stuff down, and then I would like, what is that? I mean, I have so many pads of paper. Where did it go? I wrote it down somewhere. Where did that thing go?
Yeah.
And so,
and you guys are bouncing around everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, you're going from job site to job site,
home and office,
exactly.
And so the phone with the tick list.
You always
is
have
awesome.
your phone.
Always
you have it in the bathroom.
Write it down. You have no excuse. You have voice to text if you don't like typing.
Yep.
There's no excuse to not to get stuff written down.
Yeah,
so
good.
Number one, download. One of the things I found helpful, just as a tip in this as well, is put some context into the note as well. Like I'll write something like, I'm at a meeting or somebody brings something up, and I'll put it in there, and I'm like, what was that all about? And just be like, sometimes talking to Kinsey, podcast idea or something like that. And so like, oh yes, it reminds me, something jogged my memory. Yes. It doesn't have to be detailed, but like, oh yeah, that was a conversation with Kinsey about a podcast.
Takes you less time to like bring it back
Instead
up.
of like podcast improvement, I'm like, I have no idea what that was.
What the heck does that mean? There's lots of things we could do probably.
So many things, yeah. So get enough detail where it's somewhat actionable in your download. And then this also helps us with a habit building of making sure stuff's documented, right? One of the big problems with documenting tasks is not everything is a task. So I want to give you guys a couple examples of things that are not tasks, but feel like tasks. One of them is you want to sell a vehicle. Okay, you got a truck, you want to sell a car. I'm in this spot myself where I want to have a vehicle I want to sell. So the temptation is put task down in my list of selling the car. Great starting spot. However, this is not a task.
Right.
This is a project because there's multiple steps involved with doing it. I need to touch up the paint. I need to detail the car. I need to take photos of the car. I need to list the vehicle, and then hopefully I find a buyer. So there's multiple steps involved with doing it. Another project could be installing kitchen cabinets.
Too broad.
Well, they need to be delivered to the job site potentially. They need to be set, they need to be trimmed, like so on and so forth, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. This is not a single operation task and so when we break it down, so step 2 is breakdown. So we download all the stuff there, and now we need to break it into actionable pieces of work. So overwhelming is sell the car. Right. Now I'm like, now I just have that thing hanging out there because we didn't break it down. Now I break it down of being like, order the touch-up kit. Step 1, check. I ordered it. Now I'm waiting for that to be done. That project's on hold until such a time where I can move to the next step, which is detail. Nice. So I've more or less broken this project down into actionable steps. Another example in this tax scenario would be, your problem is not you need to file a tax return. That's a project. Right. Step 1 is, well, are my receipts all posted? Do I have my P&L? Have I passed all the stuff off to my accountant? And so when you break things down, you suddenly will realize you have less of a problem than you realize. You're overwhelmed by the project, but not by the task. That's good. And so now it becomes, okay, the next actionable thing to do is get the receipts posted. And so let's break down all of these projects into tasks. That's good. And then when you break it down, you actually feel like you're accomplishing something too, which helps with the feeling of chaos. Yeah, it helps the momentum towards a completion of like, now I've got step 1 done of a 12-step process and getting this thing done. Yeah. Progress made. In Tick, they have if you're not familiar with the app, they have what's called lists. And so create a list for your project. And so now that you're adding all the tasks, the other is for like smaller projects per se, would be to add a subtask to the parent task. And so in my case, that would be to sell the car. Right. And so I have 5 subtasks related to selling the car. And once all of those subtasks are done, the task is done. Sold car. Yes. Step 3 is prioritization. We don't have any benefit from promoting Tick. There's other apps out there like Things or Any or something like that, Any.do. So, I mean, like whatever, I think I've looked at all of them, and Tick just resonates.
Yeah, there's no affiliate, but yes.
So just to make that clear, but we just love that particular way of doing things. In the prioritization of things, a funny thing happens. When you download all of the things you have sort of swirling around you, You break them all down. Then you start realizing that there's more things to do than you have the capacity to do as a human.
Yes.
And that is kind of sometimes it takes some sort of introspection, takes some maturity to realize I can't do everything that I want to do, and maybe just life experience or just the reality of like, well, that's been out there for 2 weeks and still hasn't got done.
Right.
And now it becomes down to, in the whole prioritization of things, you need to start realizing what's actually needs to be done. Mm-hmm. You have a limited capacity of time, and what needs to be done. There's the Eisenhower matrix, and Eisenhower came up with this system of essentially you have things. There's a sort of an urgency scale, and then there's an importance scale. And essentially what he identified was some things are urgent but not important. And so and these are sometimes external pressures. Right. Customer calls up and says, this has to be done by tomorrow. There's a sense of urgency. There's a feeling of urgency.
You take on that urgency that they feel.
Yes. But maybe not the important thing. Right. Maybe the most important thing you needed to get done is to sell that truck, right? File that tax return, get that proposal out the door, the things you might not want to do. Yeah. And so the things that are urgent and important are number one priorities. Yeah.
It's a little bit of a deterrent, but how do you handle a customer's urgency being put on you? Like, how would you, let's just say you notify, exactly what is the most urgent thing, most urgent and important thing for you to work on, and it's not what the customer's asking you to do. Do you have just like a quick little example of like what you might say to that customer to be like, I want to help you out, but
right,
how would you speak to that?
I like that initial step of just I want to be able to do something for you, because I think that speaks to your character and what you would. I just had this conversation with somebody the other day and just be like, I would love to do that for you, but that would take me several months before I'd be able to get to that for you. But here's another solution. I gave them a contact for somebody that could do that for them. Nice. And so sometimes, and people respect that you're not leading them on.
And boundaries.
As opposed to being like, well, I'm not sure when I could get to that is the worst.
Because or saying you can and you can't.
Right. I respect people that can tell me I had a project I needed done, and reached out to somebody, and he was like, well, I won't be able to get to it this week, but 2 weeks out from now. Nice. For me, it was something I wanted done tomorrow. Right. And for him, it was like, I can get it done in 2 weeks. Yeah. Either 2 weeks works or I find somebody else.
Exactly. Yep.
So nice. I think just being okay with saying no is so freeing. Yeah. Yeah. You just have to be comfortable with saying, nope, I cannot do that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
In a, kind, compassionate way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. The prioritization of your tasks is where you have a limited capacity for doing urgent things. And so it's being cautious with what you view as urgent as well. Of like, if I got nothing else done and that thing got done, then that's the most important thing. It's the highest impact thing that needs done. It's good. It might be the thing that's keeping you awake at night. I think as a part of this as well, there's this, yes, we can download pressures, things that need to be done, but there's also sort of another piece of this as well, where some things need more diagnoses, just like what is going on here, and I don't really have something actionable to put on here, so I want to make sure we include that in here too, because this could be the family pressure, this could be the client that you just don't know how to deal with. Yeah. So that could be the thing keeping you awake at night. It's not necessarily something you need to put on a checklist. It's just saying I'm dividing by zero here. I don't know what to do about this problem. So there's a diagnose step here as well of just being like, okay, what's this critical stress point? Yeah. Like kind of breaking it down. What's going on here is, and so we don't ignore those things that aren't actionable as well. Yeah. So the funny thing about this is sometimes they're just like the kingpin that's kind of related to all the other stress points.
True.
I'm not getting along with my dad, hypothetically speaking. Yeah. So therefore, I'm just carrying this pressure with me.
Yeah. Constantly.
Yeah. And so they're like, okay, let's resolve that problem, or be comfortable with saying, I've done everything I can do and I don't know what else to do. Yeah. Or maybe I need help. Maybe I need to talk to somebody else, or maybe I need to apologize. There's, let's diagnose, right? For let's dig into that problem. It's like like the strategizing element of being like, okay, does this stressor even have a solution? Yep. I've had a few things lately that I don't have a solution for. Yeah. Other than pray about them. You know what I mean? Like just being like, there's nothing I can do about that. Unfortunately, I wish I had an answer for that. And
which is really hard for people who are very solution oriented and love solving problems to be like in that place of like, I've done everything I can do, there's nothing I can do more, you know? So yeah.
Sometimes people you
it's
care
hard.
about, you know,
Very
you
hard.
just, right. Okay. So we got to a spot of like, we've got the things downloaded. We've got them all broken down.
Yep.
We've got them prioritized. Yep. We've done some diagnosis, some strategizing. Strategization.
Is that a word? Yeah. I don't know either.
Yeah.
You would know.
Strategization. Yeah. Probably strategizing would be better. Yeah. Hey, like every word in the dictionary was made by somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Good point. We're just making them around. I like it.
Yeah. It's like I've got as right as Shakespeare to make up a new word.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Okay. No. So there's this aspect of nothing else you got from this podcast, and is focus. When you're overwhelmed, you need to focus on one complete thing at a time.
Yeah.
And if you took that approach, life gets simpler.
It does.
Because one important thing got done, and that's one less thing you have to worry about.
Yeah, it's simpler, and it's just less in the aggregate. It's like, okay, I can do one thing. It's less overwhelming, I guess is what I'm saying. Like it kind of breaks it down to the point where you're like, okay, I have 55 things I need to do, but the first thing's here.
Yeah.
You know?
Particularly when you know that's the highest impact thing that you need to do next. Like you have a project that's high importance. You've identified all the tasks involved with doing it. This is the highest priority task that frees up the rest of it, and you got that thing done. I have a job I need to start. I need to get a permit. That's the number one thing I need to do, and it frees up that job. I don't know who's going to do my concrete work. That's the thing you need to get after.
Yeah.
Like you need to be calling people, or you're out of work. Well, finishing up the last job is not the most important thing if you don't have anything to do after it.
So true.
You know what I mean? Like go sell those jobs that you promise people you get estimates out on.
That's a great point.
So I mean, it's like you can go explain to the other customer, like I've got to go get after this, selling this job. I will, I will take care of you. I will get that thing done. But right now, that doesn't pay the bills.
Right.
Or maybe finishing up that job is holding up $20,000 that you need to get paid. You know what I mean? Like you need to identify here. Yes. I'm not saying it's not one way or the other. Yeah. Like you need to identify what is the most important thing you need to do next and work on that thing and nothing else.
Yeah.
Now, some tips here, because this is harder to do than it is
Then
to
sounds
say.
like
just do the next thing.
Just one thing at a time. It'll be great.
Yeah. So next show, it's hard to do, and we feel this every day. Where the thing that we need to get done might not be the thing we want to do.
Right.
So there's the Pomodoro method is where somebody came up with this idea that we have a limited ability to focus as human beings. It's very hard to do. Why are you smiling?
I'm just laughing because you have so many Pomodoro methods, and I was joking with you earlier. I was like, I think we're the only construction podcast that has quite so much scientific basis.
Yeah, maybe so.
I think it's great. I love it.
The Pomodoro method says, since we have this limited ability to focus as humans, is take a focus block, a focus window, and just say you're going to focus on that task for 25 minutes. And what's sort of like what's really cool about that is what it's like in the gym, right? You're not going to do reps all day.
Right.
I'm going to do 10 reps, and then I'm going to take a pause.
Yeah.
Well, mental or physical exercise in completion of a task is the same way.
Yeah, break it up.
You can only do so many reps before you feel exhausted and you can't carry on. So let's break things up the same way. So if you're doing a mental task, spend 25 minutes. That's enough reps. Take 5 minutes off and then go back to it. I love this too because it's also connection as well. Work on something for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's apps, even part of Tick where you have that built in, where you can say set a timer. It's tick, 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 tick for 25 minutes. And then I have 5 minutes to go.
I haven't done that. Huh?
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's really cool because it also is like, if you're on a screen all day, if you're doing design work, or if you're doing invoicing, take a break, look out the window. Yeah. If you have a home office, it's go get a drink of water, go say hi to your wife. Yeah. I mean, it's really cool. Like there's something to that.
That's cool.
It takes discipline. It's a new habit, but nonetheless, I found it very effective in like high focus productivity kind of things. You got to remove the distractions. Sometimes that just means like get the phone out of the room. Yeah. So there's not phone calls. If you're working on setting out invoices, it's been like, okay, I don't need any other distractions. I'm not checking my email. And that's what the Pomodoro method sort of trains, is saying, right now I've identified a task. I am sending out invoices. And for 25 minutes, I'm doing nothing other than. And you will be surprised how much you can get done. Call it what you want to, but focus on anything for a period of time and you will get it done.
Absolutely.
But when you're doing 12 things, you get nothing of them done. Yeah, right. And now you're bouncing around like a ping pong ball and you feel like you got nothing done.
Yeah. Yeah. There's actual scientific research behind multitasking and how it's like the least effective way to actually get things done. So I know that some people think that they're awesome at multitasking, but like you're not. Sorry. It's scientifically proven that you might be like pretty quick at changing tasks, but like you're not effectively getting one complete thing done at a time. Do you know what I'm saying? So like it's not getting done as well as it could, or as efficient as it could. So I think that's a piece to highlight in some of this too.
I think one of the things about this as well is our brains are phenomenally good at tricking us to believe things that we want to believe.
Right.
You can see it profoundly in other people. Look at somebody that doesn't agree with you on, or just believe something stupid, right? You just say, the earth is flat, for instance, like that's just a dumb viewpoint. Like there's just so much evidence to show that that's not true. But nonetheless, somebody that's stuck in that trap will trick themselves to believe what they want to believe about things, right? I think it is similarly with multitasking. I think you have an element where people want to say, well, that's the most efficient way to do it. Not because it's right, but because it feels good.
Yeah.
Because it's being like, I don't have enough focus. I can't create the level of focus to stay with one task for any longer than 2 minutes.
Right.
And so therefore, I'm going to go bounce between 2-minute tasks, between things, because that feels right.
Yeah.
But really what you need to do is spend 25 minutes and get the job done.
Yep.
And then the next thing you know, you're like, oh, wow, I've got something
completed.
done. It feels amazing
So
to
freeing.
get something done.
So
It's like, wow, I did something hard. And even things that you have had swirling around in your head for months, you will be surprised. Like that tax return's done. That past due bill, I've called the people and let them know we have a plan. We put on a payment plan of like dealing with hard things.
Yep.
Of like, okay, I don't have a solution to that. I'm going to go spend 25 minutes and come up with one.
Yeah. It's freeing.
We're failing an inspection for whatever reason. We need to find a solution and focus on it for 25 minutes. You guys can be heroes if you just put your mind towards that thing.
It's good.
For a block of time.
So good. I do think going back to I know we've stressed the prioritizing piece of it. I actually don't think you can do this effectively on pen and paper.
Okay.
Because I think, and some people are going to disagree with me, which is fine. But I'm like, think about it. You just try to download everything from your brain onto a sheet of paper. You haven't prioritized it yet. Whereas some kind of digital means of doing this allows you to drag and drop to reorder just really quickly. You don't have to make 25 checklists, on paper to actually get it organized. So I think that's just
like you talking like a little kid.
It's just one. It's just one piece.
Hey, we had highlighters back in the day.
Yeah. I love pen and paper.
Yeah,
I'm not anti pen and paper, but I'm just saying with your task list, it's too, I don't know, simple of a process or an adoption, I guess, is like a tech adoption piece to avoid that one.
I'm 100% in agreement with you on this, even though I do like the tactile feedback of seeing something all on a list and but there are tools like being able to print a list off after you organize it and prioritize it.
Yes.
Like Tick, you can take that list and say, okay, now print it off for me and I'm going to go hand it off to somebody or finish it. So there's ways of interfacing with both.
Yes.
But what you're bringing up is the ability to rapidly change the order of something based on changing circumstances. So what we just did in our download process is we took 50 tasks and now put life to them by saying we've identified them. We've all put them in one spot. And if that was a piece of paper, well, if that paper gets lost, you're lost forever. Yeah. It's not that you can't.
Or you write them down and then you're putting 1 at the top and 2 at the bottom and 3, you're numbering them.
The most important thing is on page 4.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Which can work. Okay. Yeah. We won't knock it too much.
Just a little bit.
I was at a networking meeting on Friday, and Jeremy Kubicek, I think it's Kubicek. Jeremy Kubicek he's a Wall Street. I should be able to get his name right. He's a Wall Street Journal best-selling author. He's just a really cool guy, and he was speaking, and he presented something that really gave kind of voice to what he called the Peace Index, and he wrote a book called the Peace Index. It's worth reading. He identified 5 categories of peace in life. And the first one was purpose, of just what drives us. What should drive us is purpose. We're clear on why we exist, what we're doing, what we're trying to accomplish in life, right? The second was people. What he talked about was the 10 most important relationships in life. It could be spouse, people you work with, not just people in general, but where are you at with peace with those relationships? He said, put a number to all these, 1 to 100. As a percentage of with purpose, where are you at? 80%, 100%. People, where are you at? Relationships are bad, 50%. Yeah. Place, where you work, your home life. How at peace are you in your place? Yeah. How at peace are you in your personal health? He said this is one that most people are really struggling. Neglecting themselves. But how at peace are you with what your physical health? And then provision, financial. He put these all as P's to make them memorable. But provision was, how at peace are you financially? Yeah. And this is not with need he was bringing up to. There's a difference between, aspirations of you want
Sure.
a multi-million-dollar house
Yeah.
and, lots of money in the bank. That's not necessarily peace. That's
Right.
just an aspiration.
Yes.
He's like,
Yes.
needs and, are you paying your bills or,
Yeah.
those kinds of things. Add all of those aggregate scores up, divide it by 5, the 5
average amount,
categories, and there's your peace index of like where I was an 82 when I did this exercise. So 82% at peace.
Is that better than you thought you would be or worse?
Well, one of the things dragging it down was the place. So I'm doing a remodel right now. And so trying to finish this up, it's been ongoing for like a year. And so it's like, because it's not been the priority.
At your own house.
In my own house,
yeah,
right, exactly. So there's like stuff going on. Things are not where they belong. I love things in place and orderly. And so when something's like, where is that thing? It's it drags the peace index down. I think I would have been like in the 90s if it wasn't for that.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so I think, the funny thing about it was I feel generally at peace with things, but that he was saying, well, the thing that you should be focused on next is the lowest scored
Interesting
item. So if personal health is like, you're struggling, you're feeling heart palpitations and you're getting diabetes or something like that. Like that's the thing you need to be focusing on. And so I thought that was a great tool. It's worth reading the book. It's well rated and it's well worth your time reading it.
It's good.
And just that personal peace. I mean, who doesn't want to have peace? And sometimes those relationships can be dragging it down.
Yeah.
The people.
But a lot of times it's hard to define what's pulling at your piece. So it's good.
He even recommended using this with your kids of just instead of like, hey, how are you? Like use the peace index as a way to have conversations with not like your 4-year-old, but but I mean like,
maybe tone it down a little. I don't know. Make it simplified.
Hey, Ledge. How you doing with your peace index? Yeah. He probably get it. He's a pretty smart kid. But anyway, he I think there's an aspect though of as our kids get older, the conversations now become, I'm not getting along with the people in my life. And now you can be like, what are we going to do about that? As opposed to just the general. People don't know how to speak to just general, how am I doing?
Yeah, that's so true. It's just too broad of a question.
Yeah, and he even brought it up too, is like you ask somebody, hey, how you doing? And then they start telling you like, whoa.
Yeah, I wasn't asking for that.
Exactly.
I expected busy.
He was like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. I wasn't
You're supposed
actually
to say busy.
He's like, uh-oh, here they go. They're actually going to tell me.
Yeah. That's funny. You're like, no, I asked you to coffee to learn that stuff.
Exactly. Oh boy, here's a download of.
I was just trying to be polite.
Yeah, exactly. Just, hey, how are you? Good. Yeah,
that's
what
funny.
you're supposed to say. Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, do you actually want to know, or do you just?
Yeah. Some people ask, well, how are you really?
Yeah.
But then I feel like that question is also pretty shallow because how do you? It's sort of like somebody asking you, how's your kidney? You're like, none of your business.
You're like, I have no idea how my kidney is.
Yeah, exactly. But but it's somewhat personal. But it's almost like if you want to start asking that level of detail, it's almost disrespectful sometimes to just casually ask somebody.
You need to have
a
time
question.
for that.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like I don't want to
just
bleed my soul in the parking lot, dude.
Right.
I mean, like some of those things require space to be able to ask some of those kinds of things. Intention. So anyway,
so good.
I think some of the things, just kind of circling back around here to in business, I think separating emotions from problems is so critical in this, because the emotional aspect of what you're dealing with can feel so overwhelming that you can get stuck in inaction. You can get stuck in just ignoring the problems. And I mean, it's so obvious to see in somebody else that's ignoring problems, and you're like, bro, that's not going to get any better.
Yeah, right.
Like, I mean, you've
worse.
got to deal with that. It's so obvious, but I think all of us have been in a position where we're just putting stuff off because we don't have the capacity to deal with it.
Right.
And so I think as a part of dealing with chaos, I think these tools can be incredibly effective at helping us not just sort of just survive, get through the day, and then just like, but having peace.
Yeah. Well, I think the chaos, like living in the chaos, just really like kind of leads to burnout too.
It does.
I think that's kind of the end result. It's like you can put up with chaos for only so long.
Yep.
Before you find a method. So I think just in a recap, what do you do about it? You download it, right? Get it written down on paper. Break it down into smaller tasks that can actually be accomplished, not projects.
Actionable steps.
Yep. Prioritize it. So don't just keep it in a flat list. Prioritize it in the order of what's the most effective, insignificant, important thing to do. Not insignificant, significant.
Yes.
Diagnose it, right? Like, what is the most critical stress point? I think that's kind of what you talked about. Strategize from there. Make a path. How do we actually accomplish some of this? And then obviously focus, completing one thing at a time.
Yep.
Like if that's something we could stress just on every episode even. I know we say it a lot, because we really mean it. And we really
one thing at a time focus podcast.
Yeah. Seriously, it's important.
It's freeing, and I think once you know once you get to the point of knowing what's the most important next step that you need. I mean, what's the task? Is actionable. Yeah. This is the thing I need to be working on. It might not even be comfortable. Then you get that thing done with. You will find freedom. You will find peace from just getting things done. I've also found that sometimes blocking things that are related in the same sort of, this is just kind of a way of not getting, like, if you're trying to pick up groceries, for instance, and you bounce from one side of town to the other, it's not a very efficient way of getting things picked up, right? No. I'm going from one store to another, or you're picking up lumber, and find a path that actually flows well.
Yes.
And I think as a part of getting tasks done as well is sometimes it's being like, okay, as a part of my most important task for today, I'm going to identify, maybe the urgent thing is install those cabinets, but you also have an urgent thing of creating invoices and send, maybe squaring up with vendors or, posting bills or something like that. We'll do all of those office related tasks in a row, like spend those things, get that done in a time block and then focus on things. Don't bounce around too much.
Do related things. Yeah.
We find that even with whatever it is we're doing. If we're working on marketing related tasks, let's get some of those things blocked off in the same time window. For creating content, let's do that in the same time block while we're in that mode. And sometimes it's uncomfortable.
Totally.
Because if we're working on design for something, like that's heavy, mentally taxing.
It's hard.
And so it just wrings you out. But at the same time, you have to lean into that of being like, I'm going to exercise my brain today.
Yeah.
You guys are muscle bound. Most of you guys are. You feel like, hey, I'm gonna get out there and work my butt off, and I sweat it out. Well, mentally sweat it out.
Yeah.
That's the piece. That's the muscle you got to work. And then sometimes it hurts. My brain hurts. But you need to lean into it. Get another rep in. The Pomodoro method is how you get reps in. Start off with 10 minutes of focus time. 25
work towards
is a long,
25.
Yeah, work towards 25. If it's 5 minutes, I'm going to focus on one thing for 5 minutes is much more effective than, there's my email, text message came through, I got a phone call. What are you getting done?
So good.
All right, guys.
Hope this helps. Let us know what you think. See you later.